All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a podcast. We've been MIA for a little bit. I don't even know what happened. I think we missed one and then we just kind of disappeared. So
yes,
we can call this season 2 if we want. It's episode 20, right?
Episode 20.
So we did 20 episodes and now we're starting here. This episode season 2. That's why we took a break.
Yep.
So we're back better than ever and chilling.
Did you just take my water?
No, I brought this up with me.
Oh, okay.
You didn't bring one.
All right.
Dehydrated.
I am.
Forever.
What's going on with you guys?
Dom's been busy.
Dom's been busy.
I got
man,
some
lately.
new hair.
Wow, we haven't done
Yes.
this in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't recognize me, it's because I have this fresh new hairline.
How was the experience? Let them know.
It was good. I mean, it was incredible, man. I went to Turkey to do it at Now Hair Time. I wanted to do it for a while, and I kind of kept putting it off. And I knew someone who went, so I went, and the people were incredible. The service was amazing. It definitely was a little uncomfortable, like the actual procedure itself.
You said they filled your skin between the
Yeah,
skull
so-
and the skin with water?
Yeah, so basically they numb your head. So like they actually like put those long ass fucking needles in, and they like rub them in like it's kind of painful, but that part goes away quickly because you obviously get numb. And then they actually like inject water, like a huge syringe of water in between like your skin and your skull to like inflate the skin away from your head.
Did you feel
So
that?
I mean, you feel the pressure of
Sure.
it. You don't feel anything besides the pressure, but they drill so they can drill the hair follicles out from the sides of your head, and then they put them in the top of your head. But right now, like most of it has fallen out of the top of my head. So
Is it supposed to fall out first and then
Yeah.
regrow, right?
yeah, so they say like the first. So I guess I did it almost 4 weeks ago now. I didn't realize it was that
Been
long.
about 4, yeah.
Yeah. So right around the 4-week mark, it falls out, and then once it falls out, it will start to regrow by itself. So they said like within 3 months I should start to notice it, and then within 8 months it should all be fully grown in.
Nice.
Yeah, but overall, awesome experience. I wouldn't recommend anywhere else. They did a phenomenal job.
How long did you say you sat there for?
7 hours. Yeah, it
And
was
then
7 hours.
the water flushed out from your head overnight.
Oh, it was gross, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first night they make you like sit up, and you can't sleep laying down. So they make you like sit up, and they actually like drain water. Like the water just pours out from in between like your skull,
Yeah.
and like the bed is just covered in like gross, bloody,
Not just
nasty.
water, blood.
Oh, tons of blood. Yeah, it looked like 3 people were murdered in my bed when I woke up. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't horrible. Like there was really no pain. It honestly hurts more now. Like it's really itchy because like I don't know what's going on, but it's just like really itchy all the time.
Maybe a little scabbing. Like
It scabbed a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it scabs for the first week I guess you would say.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't that
It
bad.
wasn't really bad though. There was,
No.
there was no point where it was like super uncomfortable. There was no point where I was like, fuck this, I wish I didn't do it. I mean, I'm super happy with
You were scabbed on Wednesday when I left for the Indy Pro.
Yeah.
By the time I got back Monday,
Gone,
you looked
right?
completely normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So I left here.
4 days.
I left here on Wednesday night. I got there Thursday. Thursday morning, I went to do my blood work. They did my surgery Friday. Saturday, I went back to like get my head washed. Sunday,
You're home.
they took my dressing off, and then I flew out that day. So it was a super seamless and easy process.
nice.
Yeah.
I'll be there next year.
Yeah.
Bald C-bum's coming at you.
Shaved head C-bum, baby.
They're not ready.
What
But yeah,
else
I
is-
was curious about having a topic of conversation we talked about yesterday briefly. It might be a little touchy,
Yeah.
but there was that school shooting recently, obviously, which was horrible. I mean, especially, I don't know what you feel like that having kids
Yeah.
right now, Matt.
What
What did that make you think about school for? Like,
Well, for one, I mean, just the reality that you can drop your kids off in the morning and never pick them up is just, it's a crazy thought,
Yeah.
you know? And obviously, you know, I even text Dom this morning about just like the desire to protect my own family more, because it's something that I keep putting on the back burner, but yet you never know when that day's going to come, you know, and you never know when you're going to need to protect your family more. So it's definitely something that's like really on my mind right now.
People are wild, man. I mean, over the last however long it's been, it's just like shootings. You know, even not to take away from that specific scenario, but the supermarket thing that just happened too in New York, right? You heard about that?
Yeah.
that's the one where someone videotaped it?
Yeah.
I heard about it.
Yeah.
With literally just drove up. I saw the video, which I wish I never saw. Like I wish I could fucking unsee the video. But he like pulls up in front of a grocery store, puts his car in park. There's like a sweet lady putting groceries in her car, kills her, walks in the grocery store and just starts killing people.
It says gunman kills 10 at Buffalo supermarket.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah, he streamed it on Twitch.
No fucking way.
He streamed it on
Oh my
Twitch.
God.
Yeah.
They're gonna start putting a delay or something on Twitch. And
I mean, but like that's what the fuck would make you do that?
Yeah.
You know, it's just like crazy. I mean, obviously mental health, but like,
Yeah.
Sure.
Before we get into this, I'm curious as to your thoughts because you've talked about this off camera, but like, what do you think it is about the United States versus Canada? Because there's always the conversation of, well, if you want access to something, you can get it regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you look at there's been charts that have been posted all over Instagram lately about the amount of shootings in the U.S. and then like the next, it's like 288, I believe. And then the next country down is like 6 to 8.
Yeah.
And you've said that off camera just about being in Canada. Like, it's just different here. What do you think that is?
This is a very touchy subject that I have
know.
no idea about. And I used to be like, I was Canadian. I was just raised, guns are bad, like, don't get them. But the more I spend time over here and see stuff, there's a lot different about the culture in general and about the focus and the stress and like the way things operate from like the way I feel like people are raised and the media that you see, and a lot of shit just feels a lot different in the society, more so than just the fact of like guns.
I was gonna say the same thing, but I didn't want to. I don't know if I'm gonna get canceled for this, but
Let's just
true.
let it
But
rip.
like, it could totally be like, we're not. I didn't even want to touch on this because we're not experts.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is our opinion. It's our podcast. I think it very well could be a possibility of both. There's obviously a hell of a lot more guns here.
Yep.
Like I was, I did some shady shit, not a lot, but enough that I was around sketchy people, and I never really saw guns anywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas you do that here, you're gonna see some.
Well, I
you
mean,
know?
it's
not
also-
even. It's not even. It's just people have them.
But here's my opinion on it, right? Like when we were kids, like when I was a kid, none of this shit happened.
Well, it's starting to.
Starting,
Columbine.
but
When was
like,
Columbine? What year was that? I mean, we were young. We were like 7, I
But
think.
I mean, like what I'm saying is like less of it. Like now it's normal to. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but it's like almost normal to turn on your TV and see some shit like this, right?
Yeah.
But when I grew up, like I didn't see guns when I was younger either. But like I can guarantee you right now, if you go to a 16-year-old kid in high school, like their friend has a gun. I just think so much has changed culturally, and like he said, like the news and the thing. Like there's a lot of things that are happening in America besides guns that I don't think should be happening here.
yeah.
Columbine
That's
was-
like the most broad way for me to say it without like getting too deep into any specific subject. But
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it, and I think that the guns are. I mean, I don't think stricter gun control is gonna necessarily stop things like this from happening.
I guess, too, the only other argument to that is that the accessibility here in the United States is so much greater.
Yeah.
Like, let's just talk about drugs, just recreational drugs. Obviously, if you want to get them, you can get them.
Yep.
But if you go to a country where the accessibility is much less,
Yep.
then the amount of people that have them obviously are going to be less. Whereas here, I mean, you can get a gun anywhere.
No,
like,
I hear
like
you.
this.
I mean, I think that kid got the gun like 2 days before or some. Like he just turned 18,
Yeah.
just got the gun.
I mean, there's so many stories that are coming
Which-
out of this.
Yeah, this is why like I'm all for like everyone should have the right to bear arms. I am for that, but like the concept that you can just go there with no regulations and buy it immediately. Like there's a waiting periods in some countries where
well,
everyone's
there's a
allowed it.
waiting period in America too.
There is.
Yeah.
I
So
thought you said he got it in 2 days.
he did. It's
Oh,
2
he
days.
waited and then he got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like for instance, with a pistol, or I believe a pistol. I don't want to speak like without it. With a concealed weapons permit, you can pick up same day. So like if I go in and buy a gun, I can buy it the same day.
But you had to go through a lot.
But I had to
shit
do
get
all
it.
of the
Yeah.
stuff to get my concealed weapons permit. But there is a holding period. But I think he did it. I mean, it's 2 days. They just
Yeah.
do. It's enough to do your background check.
So it says that he purchased 2 assault rifles the week before, last week, which is the week of his 18th birthday, and a bunch of ammo. And then
Yeah.
a week later, the shooting happened.
I mean, I think there could also be certain things that you have to do. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to doing like a psychiatric like evaluation or something like that before you get a gun. But you can lie about that shit too. So
Yeah, it's pretty easy to beat that.
It's tough. But I mean, I don't think that
Oh, this kid put it on his Instagram stories.
the guns.
Yeah,
No shit.
yeah. So this article says, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Columbine was 1999.
Yeah, so we were 10.
10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys go, when you were in high school, did you have to walk through metal detectors and shit?
No.
I did.
You did?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I didn't have to do that.
Every day. We had to go through metal
Was
detectors.
there only one entrance to the school too, and there was a fence around and shit?
There was an entrance. There's no fence. Like, you could walk around back, but you're not going to.
Yeah.
Everybody dropped you off. You walked in there, and then you got just like the airport random pat downs.
I mean, but that shows you how things have changed since we were kids.
For sure.
Like, I look back, like, I went to Martin County High School, right? I went to the school we drive by it probably every day. And when I went to Martin County High School, and the way it looks right now, it looks like a prison.
Yeah, it's got the
There's
fence
a
around
fucking fence around the whole school.
Yeah.
There's one entrance in. There's like a car line that you have to go through a certain way. And then there's gates on the other side of the fence to allow you into the actual school. So you have to go through a gate to get on campus. And then you have to go through a fence to get into where the kids are.
Yeah.
I used to run away from school every day for lunch. I did.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's crazy. But that shows
wild.
you, like, there's something going on more than, you know, something's happening, you know, where this is almost like deemed to be almost a norm. And that's unacceptable to me.
Sure.
Part of my curiosity in this conversation was a lot of people were saying, I think it came out that the kid was bullied.
Let me read a little deeper while you're
I
talking.
think, well, this is something, maybe not, maybe this was just people talking.
He said he really didn't have any friends.
He didn't really have any friends, and someone from the school reported that they had noticed him getting bullied, and then the huge like anti-bullying movement kind of came out of like, no, whatever the word is, like the kids can get expelled for like bullying one time, and that makes me like, I feel like a big thing of our culture right now is like shame, shutting things down. Like bullying obviously isn't bad; you shouldn't support that. But there's also the concept of like, if everything is just like viewed to be perfect, bullying isn't allowed. Everything should be simple and easy and kind of handed to you, which is other parts of like the culture now that people see through social media and the high expectations and the less responsibility they have for their own lives and shit.
But do you consider that bullying?
What?
With that, like, that type of mentality? Are you associating that type of mentality with bullying? Like,
I think
I'm
he's
saying
saying
the
that there's just
concept
multiple.
of like, if bullying, if your kid was bullied at school,
Okay.
let's say, would you want that? Easier to explain in the scenario. If your kid was being bullied in school and you have kids, would you rather teach your kid to stand up for themselves and how to deal with a bully? And it depends on the age and the extent of the bullying, of course. Or would you rather go to the principal and have that kid kicked out of the school?
I would rather teach my kids how to handle the bullying.
Yeah.
I think long term that's what's going to help. But again, that comes back to that point, right? Like, how are they teaching their kid to handle bullying?
For sure.
Because that's ultimately what teaches the kid to do these. I'm not saying that this is obviously the parents' fault or whatever.
Oh,
I'm just
absolutely
saying,
not.
like, the way that you get to the point of teaching your son how to handle that is either, you know, going to make them or break them in a way, right? Because clearly this wasn't handled properly.
Yeah. Well, and there's always going to be these crazy cases where people
They're an outlier.
are
for
born
sure.
with outliers and mental health
Yeah.
issues and shit. But my concept was, aside from when school shootings happen, just like simple bullying.
I think you teach your kid how to handle it because it teaches them to be a man.
I mean, yeah,
Well,
I think ultimately not the answer, but I think we as a culture are getting further and further away from the responsibilities of parents when it comes to raising your kids. I mean, if we go to any restaurant anywhere, you're going to see 80% of the kids with an iPhone or a tablet in front of them. Why is that? Because it's hard for Jordan and I to go into a restaurant with our boys because it's a lot of extra work. And parents don't want the extra work. They just want to pawn it off on a device or a tablet or whatever. And then that's who's raising the kid in that environment rather than teaching them, okay, this is how you need to be. You need to be respectful. This isn't always going to be the easiest thing. You might not want to eat the food or you might be done before everybody else, but that's a part of it. You know, and I think that trend of obviously video game, I mean, like so many things have come into play, but the video games and then the entertainment and just forcing kids to be essentially brought up by
Not
what's
them.
in front of their screen, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of parents, and again, this is very touchy things to talk about, but they're so selfish about their own desires that their kid in very formidable moments isn't the main priority.
I mean, I'll give you like a really good story, and this would hopefully my mom doesn't get arrested. All right, so
One way to start the story.
Someone you know's mom.
Yeah, someone I know's mom. So when I was growing up, I moved here to Florida when I was 9, and like up north, things are very different than down here. And I was also pretty overweight when I moved here, so I got tortured, and I mean fucking tortured when I moved here. And there was this one kid who would like come to my house and like knock on my window at like 2, 3 in the morning, like all the time, and like just torture me. So one day I told my mom, and she's like, "You got to fight him." And I was like, all right, like I've never been into a fight my whole life. And she like literally dressed me in like clothes without pockets to make sure like he couldn't grab onto my pockets when we were fighting, walked me to my first fight, got into the fight, and then that was it. Like never got bullied again. You know,
Did you win the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really even know if either of us won. We
You
both
just-
like got fucked
You
up.
just stood up for yourself.
Yeah, we were just like we were rolling around on each other. Like, I mean, I had the knots on the back of my head. He had knots all over his head. But like the next day, he literally, I remember like it was yesterday. The next day, it was in middle school. He walked up to like, you know, in middle school where you have like the door to the classroom and it's like glass in it. It's like the rectangle of glass,
Yeah.
and you can like look into it. He looked into the window and he like told me to come outside. So I asked to go to the bathroom. I went outside and like we literally hugged it out in the room, like in the hallway, and like it's John Laviano. So like we're still great friends to this day. Like I see he moved to New York, moved back here. Like we're good people. Like we talk to each other all the time. So it's like I respected that, and like, but the thing is like you don't know what's gonna happen nowadays either. Like I don't think like if it was today I would have my, because who knows if that kid had a fucking gun or not, like it's just scary.
Or it's things aren't settled on the playground anymore because then parents get involved and then there's lawsuits.
Yeah. So fast forward this exact same story to, let's say I think I had just moved out. I was in college. My mom has a girlfriend that lives behind our neighborhood, right? Like in the neighborhood behind us has a son.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of situation happened. Her son was getting bullied on the playground or at school. He gets off the bus. The other kid gets off the bus. The mom tells him, doesn't even tell him, just lets them fight. It's like, you know what? You need to fucking stand up for yourself. Goes over, smacks the kid in the face, beats the shit out of him. Mom goes to jail. Mom went to jail. Mom went to jail.
Wow.
Mom got sued. They lost the lawsuit, lost their house. They got divorced. And now she's a single mom.
Because of that.
Because she told her son to stand up for himself.
But that goes back to, I mean, in my opinion, I think that's a softer generation. Like
Of course.
Like.
But it's also the parents of the other side. Like, how the fuck are you going to do that? Like, your kid put this kid through hell forever. The kid
Right.
stands up for himself, and now you're going to take advantage of the situation, sue the lady, make her go to jail. Like,
And
if
let's
that
take that ruined that woman's life, but let's take what that kid learned now.
For
You
sure.
stand up for yourself, and your life falls apart. So just if someone's bullying you, just take it.
Now yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and you repress, you hold it in, become agreeable, like a
Yeah.
whole society. You hold up all this anger in you, and if you have a mental disorder, then you might act out on that and like hurt someone later.
So ultimately, it really depends on like, and I hate to say this, but like, you could have all the right beliefs in the world or what beliefs you think are proper, and then the other side wouldn't, and that could ruin your whole life. You know, like for instance, if the other kid's parents were like, you know what, you deserve to get the shit kicked out. Because if that was me and I was bullying someone and I got the shit kicked out of me and I went home, my dad would be like, you fucking deserved it.
Yeah.
You know, go get your ass kicked again until you stop.
Yeah.
But that's just how I was brought up. Like, you just don't do dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
On the flip side, I mean, think of the kid who was doing the bullying. Now he saw what his parents did. And he's like, I can get away with anything.
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's
It's
like,
like,
I can
what?
keep
I
doing
can
that.
just beat this kid up and
I can steal somebody's
that's
money.
Like
I can-
power.
Well,
like,
he
you know?
got the shit kicked out of him.
Oh, that
the
kid.
bully-
So he
was-
was verbally abusing him, I would assume.
The kid was like torturing him, like, you know, throwing shit at
Yeah,
him, making
yeah.
fun of him, whatever. And then the kid finally was like, fuck this. And he just got off the bus and hit him in the face and beat the shit out of him. And that's when he, like, you know, cried, you know, had a whole thing. And
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's, you know, ruin the mom's life. I mean, granted, I'm sure she's okay now, but like, that's a pretty shitty experience
Yeah,
to go
wow.
through for
Mhm.
telling your kid to stand up for himself.
Yeah.
I heard this concept too amongst men, how it's like innate for like what do friends do? You pick on each other, you bully each other.
Yeah.
Like when you're young, you know, you like push your friends around, you talk shit. I don't know if you guys have ever worked like construction or like blue collar
Yeah.
jobs and shit. When I was working that, you just tear each other apart.
That's all you do.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
just talk
Torture.
mad shit. And
Yeah.
what it is, it's almost like an approval process to see how strong your friends are,
Yeah.
to see if they can hang in the gang. And like, I mean, I feel like that's innate in us
Yeah.
to know if like they're going to be part of your gang and protect you and protect the
Yeah.
tribe. And then they're strong enough. Or if
Yeah.
someone's like a little bitch, like, oh, I'm being bullied, and they quit their job and leave, you're like, well, you weren't strong enough to be in our tribe.
100%.
And like, it's kind of creating stronger people in a sense. Whereas now we're told before we even saying something that this is even more touchy, but we're told that we're racist without doing anything. We're told that we're like sexist. We're told that we're this, and people are just like, well, fuck. And then I guess I'm just not going to say anything because everything's wrong.
Yeah.
And then we hold everything and repress it, become agreeable because we can't stand up for ourselves. And
I guess it goes back to like that person. Like, this is gonna be so bad. It just goes back to the person who's getting the bullying in a way too, and as fucked up as that sounds, because ultimately, yeah, the person who's doing it shouldn't be doing it, but it's how are you reacting to getting bullied too, right? Because we're taking it as like you shouldn't be doing it in the first place, or you know, if you do, you deserve to get the shit kicked out of you. But it's ultimately how the person who's getting it reacts to it that can also be a negative.
Yeah, well, you got to learn from a young age that life isn't fair.
Correct.
Not everyone's gonna be nice to you. Not every situation is gonna be in your favor, and it's your responsibility to take the shit that comes at you.
It's crazy to look at this as how generational this can be.
Yeah,
Because like we're looking at it on like a more of a surface level, right? Like, oh, this happened, like, you know, you deserve to get the shit kicked out of you. But no, that kid goes home and tells his mom or his dad, who maybe have been bullied his whole life, and now he's, you know, going back to how he was raised, and it's like boom, 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 and you're just like, fuck, like the kid's not even making his own decisions in a way.
yeah.
Like, do you
Or
think
he
that
goes
kid
home.
really wanted to ruin that kid's life?
No.
Probably not,
No.
right?
Yeah.
I bet if he knew what was going to happen, he probably wouldn't even have wanted all that to happen.
Yeah.
But because he went to his parents and his parents were like, this is what we're doing, or I'm going to do this, it's like he's out of the picture now, and it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, or he's going home and getting the shit kicked out of him by his parents. You never know.
I think this is kind of a change of subject, but I think as generations go on, like in some ways we're getting further and further away from being the men that
I mean, it's
our
guaranteed.
fathers were, you know, and our
Yes.
grandfathers were. I mean, like my dad, I'll call myself out. Every auto repair that we had as a family for the longest time, one, we couldn't potentially at times afford to get it fixed, but my dad would figure it out.
Yeah.
Like he would fix everything. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
You know, but like even lately it's kind of kicked me in the gut. You know, one of the things that I want to do that was a responsibility of mine was cutting the grass. My boys don't have to cut the grass, but in the next few years, I'm going to start cutting the grass so that way they have that example.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them to grow up in this. I'm working hard to give them comfort, but at the same time, I don't want them to have
can't.
every single comfort.
Or just know how to be a man.
Right.
You know, there's
Exactly.
certain things they should just know how to do.
Yeah.
Like I grew up with my grandpa taught me how to use every tool, do everything, you know, and it's like, I see it like, it's like, I know people who don't know how to do anything, you know, like, and it's weird to me. I don't know. Like, it's just strange.
But I think that's part of this society that we're in now.
Like,
is
I
that-
guarantee you probably have comments from when you wash your car, like, bro, why do you wash your own car? Like, or I can't, like, I bet there's some crazy DM in your fucking
Courtney
DM.
did say some people said that. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, that's because you want to wash your own car. It's
Yeah.
your car. It's like, it's a piece. It's
Well,
like
I got it washed by someone else. They did a horrible job, so I bought a pressure washer and washed it myself.
But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with washing your own car.
No, yeah.
But like, that's like, why are you doing that? Like, just have someone else do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, like I can do it.
Yeah,
Fully capable of washing my own fucking car.
yeah.
I was literally thinking that when she posted it, and I was like, I guarantee you, some asshole's gonna post something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really sensitive subject, and I don't know if there's a right or a wrong answer to it. I think it's always going to be opinionated. You know, you're going to have how you feel about it, and you know, there's probably someone watching this whose kid gets tortured, and they're just like frustrated to the core. And granted, that's not fair and it's wrong, but
Well, yeah. Then everything, there's levels to everything. You know, if someone's being absolutely tortured and like,
yeah,
destroying their life, it's one thing. But if you're just being picked on like a kid, sometimes it's like take that into your own hands.
yeah. And then the whole gun control thing is tough too. It's like, I don't think there's a win. I mean, I saw those charts on Instagram. It was like the #1 country with the most guns or guns per
Will
household.
you look that up? Because I'm not sure if that was this year. It's 288, I believe, is the number.
288 what?
Shootings.
No, I saw the chart of the guns per household.
Oh,
Did you see that
no,
one?
No, I didn't see that.
So that one was even more interesting because technically in America, there's more guns per household than there are households. So like the average person in America has more than one gun.
That surprised me. How many people do you know with like 20 guns?
Right, yeah.
I have a
that-
shit
yeah.
ton.
20 has
I
a
get
ton.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's outliers for sure,
Yeah.
but I would think that there's also so many people that don't believe in having a gun.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
so I was
definitely.
trying to balance it, and I was pretty. And the second country closest to us is like not even. I think it was Serbia, if I'm not mistaken, and
10 civilian-owning countries, U.S., it says by per 100 residents. U.S. is 120 and a half.
yes.
And then Yemen, 52.
And what is it? Serbia after
And
that?
Serbia,
Yeah,
39.
yeah.
But it's like, we're double.
It's crazy. Yeah, the
Yeah.
difference is absolutely insane.
And
And
then
then-
you look up that shootings.
Well, this one says intentional comparisons gun-related killings as percent of all homicides. 79% is the U.S. Then the next is 37% in Canada. And then 13% in Australia, 4% UK. I don't know if that's the same one, but that's by a percent basis.
Yeah, I'm definitely not we're like smart enough to analyze the whole society and psychology of it all. But like from a media standpoint, I think Canada lately is starting to become a little bit more like America. But from what I hear, your media has been like this for a long time.
Yeah.
Whereas ours was just like I didn't really notice any of that shit. You know, like growing up, even as a teenager and shit, the media was like pretty just basic. There wasn't like polarized politics. There wasn't like shaming of like things happening and crazy shit. It was
Yeah.
just like do your own shit, grow up, and kind of like
So like Fox and CNN.
There
you
was
saying
no.
that
Were there biased news channels in Canada? Do you have like your Fox and like your what is the other one?
CNN.
CNN. Like the
not so
Republican.
much because our
Democrat.
conservative and liberal parties are both kind of liberal
Okay,
in a little bit,
sure.
but it's just different. It's weird.
I mean, how do you feel about the publicity of this type of stuff? Because that's like a whole nother conversation, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Do you think that it should be publicized as much as it is, like when stuff like this happens?
well, I think if other things are going to be publicized, and I think this deserves to be publicized.
But do you
And-
think it? Do you
like, for example, I'm just going to throw it out there. You know, in late 2020, everybody posted a black screen for Black Lives Matters on Instagram. In my opinion, I think this is a lot more important, you know, than that was in that moment. Was that politically driven? I believe it was. You know, but now because there's not an election, are we just not going to, now I'm not saying that everybody should make a post about these kids, but I'm saying if there was a post made about that, why
There
is
should
this
be
not,
this.
yeah.
But do you also think that maybe fuel it like?
But that could also, on the other end of the argument, that could be driving more kids that have mental
Exactly.
illnesses to be like, oh, well,
this is okay.
this
Or
you
look
know,
how
this
cool
is
this
cool.
kid is. He's
Yeah,
famous now.
yeah.
Yeah, because
It's tough.
that's a tough thing for me too. Because it's like obviously this is devastating, and the parents and it needs to be known. But a part of me is also like if we keep putting the shit on TV all the time, it just makes it seem like it's normal, and it's not.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
But without, and I guess I'll say this in closing on that thought is without a solution, I don't think that the constant media of this is doing any good.
No, I don't either. And then what's the solution?
I mean, I'm sure there's some study about subconscious hearing that, like, while the kid's getting ready to go to school and eating breakfast, his parents are listening to the news and he doesn't really paying attention, but it's in the back of his head, shooting, killing, that kind of stuff that might have repercussions in the long run.
I mean, or just
Well, what
the
if they
kid-
start? What if they actually start studying, like understanding what's driving these kids? What is their home life,
Yeah.
and then putting in institutions within the school to help them learn
But
more
that could
than
be
just
done
like
silently
learn
too.
it. What do you mean
right?
silent?
As in, like, this could happen. They could analyze the situation without publicly blasting it all over the world.
Yeah, but what are they putting into action, like at the school, to help these children?
Well, that's the next thing,
Or,
right? Like, there's two ways of handling this, right? You have the now. What do we do now to prevent this from happening? Which is like not necessarily. It's like an enforcement type of protocol, right? And then you have the how do we stop kids from feeling like they need to do this? So you have the the immediate, which is I guarantee you it's going to be
metal detectors.
stricter gun control laws or armed security at schools.
Yeah.
You're gonna have two people fighting over those two things, and which one is right? I don't really know. Would I want my kid walking into a school with a guy with a fucking machine gun at the front door? Probably not. But what if I know that guy's gonna save my kid from something like this happening? Am I okay with it? Fuck yeah. Like, of
just as a
course.
symbol to, like, how much less likely would you to be go, like,
Yeah.
even as a man,
Or
to rob
just
a bank if
designing
they're
the
the dude with
school.
an AK outside?
Designing
Exactly.
Leave
designing
that bank alone. Like,
yeah, designing a school, one way in, one way out, armed guard at this specific location. Like, I'm not probably gonna go fuck with that school.
yeah.
If I'm the guy who wants to go kill people, I'll find out another place. So I agree with it in a way. I don't love like I said, I don't love the idea of my kid seeing that and being normalized to it, because then you're normalizing, a guy walking around with a machine gun.
But it's better than the alternative.
100% agree.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
totally
But
agree.
again, that's like immediate. I'm super curious about the psychology of, like,
I agree,
what's
but you have
causing
two
all this.
ways
Yeah.
of getting this fixed fast, right? The first way is immediate, which is these two things,
Yeah.
right? And then the second is analyzing the children and figuring out what's causing them to get to this point.
I mean, we haven't even talked about the whole pharmacology,
Yeah,
that side of it
sure.
too. I mean, the amount of kids that are on medication
that they
now.
don't need to be on. It's
Right.
insane.
Not
ADD
the studies
medicine?
that show what
Yeah.
happen when they come off it too, and like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah.
But
I mean, there's so many different ways that you can. I think in terms of solution, I think and obviously this is going to be individual, but the most important thing is what's going on in the home.
yeah.
I mean, I think that's the most immediate solution, and that's not going to fix everybody. I know very good homes that had crazy kids in them.
Well, this
you
kid,
know.
this kid lived with his grandma, I believe, right?
Yeah, he killed her before he went.
Did he kill her? or
which
is she
that
still
alone-
alive?
He shot her.
Yeah.
It said then she got rushed to the
She's
hospital.
in critical condition.
Yeah.
Shot
That
her in
alone
the
tells you he was in a broken home if he's with his grandmother.
head. Yeah.
Valid. It's crazy.
I mean, I think we can consistently say that all of these types of issues have come from some issues, like psychological issues.
Yeah.
For sure.
You
And
know?
I mean, yeah, it's and if you can't trust the fucking higher ups, the government, to do anything. It's going to come down to getting your house in order.
Yep.
Fucking looking at yourself, making sure you're focusing, using those moments to look at your children, your family. Are you not focusing on them enough? Are you putting them in front of a TV and working all night and not giving them the love and like attention that they need and all this shit? Like, it's coming down to the individual right now, the country, to like.
Yeah, but then you get into
do
the
their
next
job.
argument. The next argument is like, okay, so you want to teach your kid how to be the best he can be, right? And that's your goal. So what happens when you can only spend 4 hours with your son a day or your daughter a day, and then they go into society of school, and they're there longer than they are with you, and they're being able to do almost whatever they want to do.
I think
4 hours at night is still better than. putting
Yeah,
them on
I was gonna
TV.
say,
I'm
yeah.
not saying that. I'm
Sitting
not
on the
saying that.
desk,
I agree
yeah.
with you giving all 4 hours of whatever you can to your kid.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is you instill all these values into your son, and then he goes to school the next day, and you know the world is crazy. They start going and they start seeing all this wild stuff and this and that and the other, and they start thinking, well, this is normal. Like my friends are like this, and you know he does this, and I like this better, or whatever. So you're battling that.
I mean, I
Oh.
might be wrong, but another role of the parent is to build the respect in your child so that when they go
They
to
make
school,
their own
they come to you and
decisions.
they talk to you about things and you teach them to make their own decisions and understand that, like, there is always going to be fucked up shit. There is going to be easier, maybe funner things going on out there, but long term, is that the best thing for you? And, like, teaching them how to analyze that.
I think kids have an innate nature in them to, regardless of the amount of time, if it's intentional, to always trust what the parent's saying, right or wrong. Even if they're getting bad advice, you know, even with Dallas and Walker, I've seen times so far where they've seen another family act a certain way and they come back to me and say, Daddy, that's different than what we do, you know? So in some ways, even if, I mean, because again, let's go back to 1950s, 1960s, parents were both still working,
Yeah.
you know, but why are the shootings so much greater now? You know, so, and kids were crazy in the 50s and 60s
Sure.
in a different way,
Yeah.
you know, but again, I think the family unit back then was so much stronger.
Way stronger. Well, there was no distraction.
Right.
No enticement. It was like your family was everything.
Yeah.
So there were barely cell phones. Definitely no social media.
Right.
Well, even the concept of looking out for your community back then
Totally
was
different.
crazy.
Totally different. Yeah.
There was like the idea of going to your neighbor for sugar and shit.
Totally
like,
normal.
You just brought that up to a kid
Yeah.
now or something. Like their parents wouldn't let them go
Yeah.
next door because
Yeah.
it's not safe. Like
Some
the
parents
whole
don't even
like
let their kids go
community
outside.
aspect is gone.
Yeah.
Like when I grew up, I was in. I mean, also think of it this way: like when I grew up in a very like tight knit Italian community in Rhode Island. So like you were proud of where you came from. Like where if you grew up in whatever neighborhood, like that was like your hood, right?
Yeah.
Like you like knew everyone on your street. Like you would go see Mr. Whoever, you know, go get. We used to get our milk delivered every morning by like the milk. Like it was just so different. And I would,
You're old egg and
yeah, I did. I would play with all,
Milkman, what?
I'd play with all of our neighbors. Like, you know, our whole street was wide open.
yeah.
It's not like that at all anymore.
Yeah, we would play kickball in the street.
I
Is
used
it
to
not
live
like that.
Huh?
Is it not like that? Eh?
I don't know. It
Go
depends where you
walk
are,
through
I
your
guess.
neighborhood at
Just
5
tomorrow morning,
o'clock.
go ask your neighbor for
There's
eggs.
some-
and see
there-
what,
there-
see what they
I'm in a
say.
gated community, and there's kids
But
that bike
you
around
see-
together and shit.
You see kids biking around together
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah,
But
so,
it's a pretty tight knit
Yeah,
community,
yeah.
like gated community out
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
so like when I lived across the street from you in Orchid Bay when I grew
Yeah.
up, right? And like we had like a crew of like 15 of us that were consistently together every day.
Mhm.
We would get out of school, go home, do whatever we had to do to get outside, go outside and like play manhunt or play basketball or whatever we could do until it got dark out and we would come home.
Yeah.
Like I do not think that happens anymore.
I mean, I can tell you in a non-gated in PSL, there aren't kids anywhere.
Yeah, you don't see kids anywhere
No.
out there. That's true.
No, one kid plays basketball on his driveway
On his
but-
own.
but by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in grade 4, 5, how old were you then? 9, 8, 9, whatever. Around 9, I was walking
Yeah.
home alone from school.
Yeah.
With my buddy. You know, I had a fake Walmart skateboard. It sucked, so I'd like carry it and just like walked home from school alone all
Yeah.
the time.
That's
Yeah.
just wild, man. I don't get it.
I don't know.
Part of me wishes like I could grow my kids up when I grew up.
You what?
Like I wish I could like go back in time and have my kids grow up when I grew up.
Well, I mean,
But it's a lot of, and this is another thing. A lot of people are talking like, oh, well, like I don't want to bring kids into this world, and I'm like, if anything, it's more responsibility for people with that mindset
bring
of
kids
understanding
into
how
the world.
fucked up the world
Yeah.
is, to bring your kids into this world and make it a better world.
I don't mean to
Otherwise,
throw,
all those people with a brain are not going to have a kid.
yeah. I mean, I don't mean to throw Savannah under the bus here, but that's one of the reasons she's like, why would I want to bring a child into this
I mean, I've
world?
heard Sammy say that before too.
You know.
It's
It's a thought for sure,
sure.
but it's also a responsibility if you want
Yeah.
to fix this world. To if the people who don't have that thought are just kind of making more kids and we're creating
Mhm.
it worse and worse.
I also think it goes back to, like you said, like you just have to spend the time and do it with your kids. You know,
Yeah.
treat them, just get them to understand
Yeah.
right and wrong.
I mean, what's the saying that you have? I mean, it's what Chris said earlier, but you say it a specific way about your home.
Keep your house in order.
Yeah,
That
keep
one.
your-
Yeah,
keep your house in
yeah.
order.
I mean, that
Yeah.
that
It's an
ultimately,
age-old saying, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's with anything. I mean, I bring
Yeah.
it up when I talk about business. I bring it up when I talk about anything. It's like if your house is not in order, there's no way that you can focus on doing everything else you need to do.
right.
Mhm.
You know, it's just not possible because you're
Yeah.
subconsciously consistently thinking about all that stuff in the back of your head, and you don't even know you're doing it,
Mhm.
and it just makes you unproductive.
Yeah.
So I think, there's so many things like you take like one issue and all of the things that can cause that issue, and it's so many things that you can't really say it's because of this,
You
it's
can't
because of that,
pinpoint
it's because
it,
of this. I think it's accumulation of just overall being better fucking people, and
Yeah.
that's like the easiest way for me to
Yeah.
say it. You just have to, be a good person, and I
Mhm.
think if you can actually like convince, or not even convince, but just do that, I think you'll see everything else change around you.
Yeah.
But
So start by cleaning your bedroom tonight, guys.
yeah,
One step at a
Get your
time.
house in order.
Yeah, it's a
Alright.
super sensitive subject.
Yeah. It is very.
Yeah.
But it's
But-
worth talking about.
Yeah.
I think it's better to have a discussion than ignore it.
Yeah.
I really don't think people learn that though.
To talk about it?
Even just like the idea of like the simplicity of keeping your house in order, the responsibility, like how everything like matters, the level at which you obtain everything between like the chaos and order is like it plays out into every aspect of your life, from business, your mindset, relationships in the future, the children you'll raise when you're older. Like if you don't get your shit in order when you're young enough, it's gonna put onto your kids.
But you can see it. Like when you meet people, like I can see it right away. I know that sounds crazy, but like I can sit with someone for an hour and be like, this guy's not all here. Like something's going on in his life.
Yeah.
You can read through it quickly. And like no matter how well you dress or how much you try to cover up the bullshit, like you can see right through it.
Mhm.
And anyone who doesn't have it. And I'm not saying like your house in order doesn't mean you're going to fight or you're going to have bad days or bad
Yeah.
weeks or bad months. But like when you have no foundation, I can see that.
Yeah. Not about
Mhm.
perfection, it's about
Yeah.
getting it back to order when it falls apart.
Correct. And understanding it's the priority, right? Like I'll be with people and they'll be like, oh, like how's everything? Oh, work's great. The house life sucks. Like, going through this, going through that. And it's just like, so probably not then. Like
Is work really
isn't
great? Yeah.
Work
Yeah.
is your escape,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so like you have to like rewind it and like, you just be like, I don't either one, like you're full of shit, or two, like I don't even want to do any business with you, because if you really don't give a shit about your home being in the way it is and you're able to just go to work every day and be great, like we're not made for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
I don't know.
But I think we do need to end this on saying that what did happen is absolutely terrible.
Yep.
And I think that, obviously our hearts go out to all the family. And then did you hear that the dad passed away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
I did.
shit! Really?
The dad.
Yeah,
So
he had a heart attack.
one of the teachers
Mm-hmm.
that was shot, her husband had a heart attack 3 days later.
And they
And
have,
I mean,
They have, like,
they
4
have
don't
kids.
they?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I did see this morning the GoFundMe is up to like almost $2 million for the
For-
kids
Nice.
within a day.
That's awesome.
Obviously that means nothing, but at least
Sure.
the kids have some sense of security in knowing that they don't have to worry about where they're going to sleep.
I'll try to find it. I'll put it in the description
Yeah.
so we can.
Yeah,
if anybody
definitely,
does want
please,
to
yeah.
help.
But yeah, I don't.
And then I don't know if you guys saw Matt Berzicott posted a
I
story.
saw that. That's crazy.
So the sheriff's cops, whatever, they arrived and it took them 45 minutes to get into the school, or I believe, around that timeline. So they were just like trying to figure out what they were going to do rather than just going in.
Yeah,
and then
those-
it took Border Patrol actually arriving to do
And
something.
they just ran in. And,
yeah,
Yeah.
the guy ran in and fucking got shot in the head.
Yeah.
oh,
And-
that picture with the hat.
Yeah.
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 Grazed his head, but he was the one who ultimately,
Yeah.
made it stop.
Right.
But yeah,
So basically-
parents were freaking out. Like, give me the fucking gun.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'll go in and do it. Like, if you're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And they held the parents and all the people back for almost an hour.
I would have made it through.
I would have fucking 100%.
Yeah,
I
you'd
would've-
be shooting
yeah,
me.
Yeah,
Cops be shooting me for it. I'd
Yeah.
be in that school.
If my kid was in that fucking, and I'm not saying obviously you never know. They could have been like very persistent or blocked him or said they were going to arrest him or whatever. But fuck, I would have figured it out, man. Like
Well, they were probably also there before parents were out there.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically this article was saying that these cops were security for the shooter.
The shooter basically helping him go in and do what he had to do.
Yeah.
And that goes back to, which is pretty weird because Texas is a huge, like, you know, guns blazing state.
Yeah.
So for them to not, you know, I'm interested to see what Abbott.
Now, granted,
says.
we don't know the whole story, and maybe they were trying to prevent him from, you know,
or they didn't know
whatever,
how many
but-
people there were, how
Yeah.
many people were in the school, if there was anyone else. I mean, protecting them from other people coming in. I don't know. You know, you don't. But
I'm sure they have protocol. Yeah.
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 I think it could have been handled maybe a little bit better, or at least
Or
send
quicker.
someone in.
Yeah.
You know, someone in to see what was going on.
Yeah.
But yeah. The other thing that I was thinking about too, like with the whole gun control thing, is like, you know, maybe you can't control the guns, but like if you see an 18-year-old kid buying body armor online, probably a pretty serious sign to like look at what the fuck he's gonna do with it.
I'm sure a lot of these kids come from a home where their parents don't notice anything. though.
I'm not saying
The-
kid.
the
I'm saying the
purchaser.
company.
Oh, the company.
Yeah, you know, what
you
I'm
can see
saying?
all that information for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, granted, like, you know, if nothing changes and the gun control stays how it is, you know, go look at the other things. You know, if someone's going to buy outlandish amounts of ammo the day that they buy a gun, or if they're buying body
Or
armor.
even I
Or
mean,
2 guns in one day.
assault
Why?
rifles. Like,
Why do
Yeah.
you need that?
you don't need assault rifles for personal protection.
Yeah. I mean, that goes against, you know, I mean, I have them, you know, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying that I agree or disagree, but yeah, I mean, there's things that can be done to make it more difficult for situations like this to happen.
Right.
I believe. Do I believe it's stricter gun control? I don't know.
I mean, because you don't even have to have proper training to purchase an assault
You
rifle.
don't have to have proper training to purchase any gun.
Right. No, I know, but I'm just saying.
You know, I mean, to be
automatic
honest with you,
machinery.
an assault rifle is easier to shoot than a pistol. You know, so if anything, there should be more gun control based on pistol. It's easier to hide. You know, there's just so much more risk with a pistol, in my opinion. It's easier to hide. It holds. You can hold 12. I mean, some clips for pistols are 40-round clips. They're fucking huge.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, that's probably a more, you know, dangerous weapon because it's easier to conceal. Where it's pretty tough to hide a fucking rifle.
Yeah.
You know, you're walking down the street with a rifle. People know you have a rifle. But yeah, I mean, just I don't know, man. It's a fucking horrible subject to talk about.
Yeah, there's nothing to know, and I almost
Yeah.
didn't even want to talk about some of these concepts
Yeah.
around it because there's no understanding when these situations can happen. Chaos can come break out at any time, and like sometimes you just can't stop it. It's the world we live in,
Yeah.
and it's kind of understanding that.
But I think we're all for finding ways to stop things like this from happening.
Of course, yeah.
You know.
And I do think it's just going to come down to the individual of everybody.
Yep.
Kind of doing their part, playing their part in the whole effort.
Yeah, I think my mom was telling me that she does consulting for the Lowe's Foods, right? And after that market shooting happened, I guess that shooting happened in a predominantly black community.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom had a club, so it was a white. I believe the kid was white in the Buffalo shooting, and then it was a
white kid.
predominantly black community.
Yeah.
She had to deal with a call this week where a cart kid, a little kid who does the carts at one of the stores in the parking lot, an African American guy pulled up to him and said, "Do a lot mostly white people shop here?" And the kid was like, "Yeah, I guess." And he's like, "How would you like it if I went in there and killed everybody?" And then he drove away.
Oh God.
Like right after that shooting happened in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So it's already like that shows you, right? Like it was on the news and now it's like,
Getting people's heads.
yeah,
Yeah.
like that's crazy to think that that was even
Yeah.
said. And granted, like I'm sure there's frustration in that event, right?
Sure.
I would be frustrated too, but that's not the answer,
Right.
you know?
No. And again, you're never going to stop everybody to be a certain way.
No.
Always going to be outliers.
But that just shows you that like putting it out on TV is like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to maybe do the same thing. Or who knows? The guy could have been just being a dickhead, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's still important to talk about stuff and be aware, but
sure.
it's balance.
Yeah. All right.
Wrap it up.
Yes.
Yeah, to wrap on this one. This will be our first episode. We might get canceled.
Well, I would also want to know, like, for real, in this one, like, go in the comments.
Yeah.
Like,
for
I
sure.
want to see what you guys think. Like, I would be more interested to know how you
Yeah.
feel. And if you don't agree, great. Like, just put it. Or, I mean, I don't think we really hit on anything that you would
No.
agree or disagree
We're not
with.
very polarizing
Yeah.
people, and I think the biggest thing that's wrong with our country is being polarized. Where like something like happens, and it's like, well, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Politics is one way or the other. There's no in between. This is bad.
Yeah.
One shooting, get rid of all guns, or like like this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
absolute
finding a
is-
balance, and
yeah.
then, like right in the midline, as Matthew likes
Yeah.
to say. And like
Damn, you just called him Matthew.
I call everybody their full name. That's why I hate Scott.
He decided one
Scoot.
syllable.
Scoot
I
is
call him
his full name.
Scotland or Scotty or something like I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, we have to give him a new name.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But yeah, we'll
All
call
right,
that a
I
wrap.
gotta go.
You
I'm
gotta
23
run.
minutes
That's already
late.
late.
Go.
Thank
Let's go
you
get
guys
my
for
kids from
watching.
school.
Catch you in the next one.
Great. Adios.
Yeah. And the checkout clerk guy said that they had to add security.